Hey folks, Jim Dunaway from the Next Round. It's time to look back and enjoy a week of Southeastern Conference football as we talk about what we saw in the field. And as always, we're excited to be partnered with our friends at Cowin Equipment. And they'd like to partner up with your company for all your heavy equipment needs. Visit everyone over at Cowin on their website at cowin.com to find out more about how you can save with your heavy equipment solution, from rental and new equipment sales to superior service and parts. It's all right there with our friends at Cowin Equipment. Visit cowin.com. That's cowin.com. Now let's check out the action.
We start with the Iron Bowl that happened down at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and I don't think it was not a game I expected to see it play out exactly that way. I knew Auburn could fight and maybe pull the upset. I mean, it's always a possibility at Jordan-Hare Stadium. If they were going to do it, I didn't think it would look the way it looked in that game.
No, I agree. You know, though, watching that game, going into the game, I didn't have an expectation that it was going to be a really tight game. So I thoroughly enjoyed what we got. Just having some drama in that game is always fun. And look, the last time they played in Jordan-Hare, obviously there was a lot of drama en route to Auburn winning that game against Mac Jones, one of his first starts. But I agree with you, man. I mean, it was a sloppy game. The defenses dominated that game. I didn't think we would see 13 sacks. I thought Alabama would be able to get to T.J. Finley. And I did point out, and I think a lot of people pointed out, that one of the weaknesses, especially over the last month plus, has been pass protection for Bryce Young. And Auburn, you got to give Derek Mason, as bad as he was getting dogged out after that Mississippi State loss, the game plan that he had for this Alabama offense, very impressive.
Fantastic. It was fantastic. Yeah, it was such a weird game. I did not at all expect it to play out that way at all. I think if you guys remember, I picked it 42-20.
I had 38-17.
How long would they have had to play, even in the overtimes, to get to 42?
Well, when you start counting by twos,
Yes.
it takes a long time.
They needed 10 more overtimes.
You couldn't even do like Alabama basketball and just start draining in threes to get there that fast.
If I would have told you Auburn, though, Bama has 6 sacks, Auburn has 11 first downs, 159 total yards, and they rushed for 22 yards. What do you think the final score is?
Blowout.
Like bludgeoning, like 50-point game, right?
I mean, Alabama still doubled Auburn up in yardage, passing yardage, rushing yardage.
Well, in
Doubled them
plays,
up.
and they brought this out. You probably weren't listening to the broadcast,
No.
but I think it was Gary that brought it up. Alabama has run a ton more plays, and it ended up being 89-66.
Yeah.
But, you know, typically running a lot of plays equates to scoring
I mean,
points.
all those things, if you had just told me, Alabama doubles them up in total yardage, doubles them up in rushing yardage, doubles them up in passing yardage. And that play discrepancy, I would have said, yeah, it's not even an interesting fourth quarter. I mean, that is such a weird game.
But there were times, I tweeted it out one time, Alabama's cross midfield. At times it did not seem like Alabama was ever getting across the 50-yard line at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And the press box seats that Brown and I are in the end zone. And it felt like the entire game was played right below us at that end of the field, when Auburn and Alabama would just stay planted at that end of the field. Not a lot of offense. We were surrounded by national media people that honestly were asking why they were there for a little bit. I won't name names, but there were some that were like, during the first half, they're like, oh, you know, we're here. We could have been at Ohio State, Michigan, or Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. We came to this game.
Those would have been better choices.
As it turns out, yes.
But it was not an exciting first quarter, and it was okay in the second quarter, especially if you're an Auburn fan. The place was juiced. And then we had a great fourth quarter, and then the drama in the overtimes, and Alabama gutted out the win. Rockstar, if you'll give me cut number one, Nick Saban afterwards. I mean, here's a guy who has won, 6 national championships, at Alabama, 7 totally. He's been in all sorts of games. And this guy was giddy afterwards, relieved and excited about what his team showed him to pull out a victory when Auburn had every chance to win the game several times down at Jordan-Hare.
After halftime, it just seemed like everybody was all in, and we were fighting like I've never seen us fight, all year long, and it's a great feeling. Players were as happy as I've ever seen them after the game. I got to give Auburn a lot of credit. Their players, really played well in the game. They played hard. Their defense really played an outstanding game, but our receivers and Bryce made some plays when we needed to down the stretch, and that was the difference in the game. But wow, what a game.
Cowin Equipment poll question. Before you tell us about Cowin, tell us the poll question, because I think this is an important part of the discussion about the Iron Bowl as well. That is the Cowin Equipment poll question,
It
Brown.
is. I was just getting an update on something. My apologies. We asked earlier, in the moment, did you think Auburn should have gone for 2 after their first overtime score?
I 100%. I thought they were going for 2, and I would have gone for 2 in that situation.
So
Very
50
easy to say it now, but in the moment,
No, I said it out loud.
I said it out loud too. Got to go for 2.
57% say yes, 43% say no. And now I said it out loud. Dunaway knows this guy. This guy named Jeff Myers, who worked in Scott knows him too. Worked for 33-40 for years. He now works for CBS Sports on game days like that. And he was standing next to me in the end zone. And I look at him after Auburn scores. I said, I'd go for 2 here. And he goes, ooh, that's one of those where if it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't, you're an idiot. I was like, no. The Auburn fan base would love Brian Harsin regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, we said the same thing on the CBS 42 set, watching the end of the game before going on afterwards, because that's your opportunity right then to walk it off and win the game.
And you never had that opportunity again, by the way.
You didn't, and your quarterback's hurt.
That's right.
So that in itself limits the number of 2-point plays you have.
And that's what I told Jeff. I said Alabama has a distinct overtime advantage in this game because Auburn's quarterback is playing on one leg.
Yeah.
And Alabama is the team that has come. They've got the momentum. They're hot now. I mean, they've got the distinct overtime advantage. I said I would do anything I could to shorten this overtime. I'd go for 2 right here.
Yep.
And even if you miss it, I think Auburn fans look at it and say, I love my coach doing that. I wish we would have gotten it. Wish we would have won the game. I hated it. It ended up in overtime. But I love my coach going for the kill.
Yeah, I think the loss is even easier to swallow.
Yeah, I agree. If you're the aggressor like that. And again, Auburn never ran another play to win the game. Alabama had all the rest of the plays to win the game after that. That was your last chance to run a play to win the game.
But to just moments after going through that during the game and then walking in and answering all the tough questions about this or that for the game, and then you also have to answer questions about possibly you being mentioned for jobs elsewhere in the country. Here's Brian Harsin right afterwards.
I'm always committed to what I'm doing. This is, we're just coming off a tough game. I came to Auburn for a reason. I mean, look at the history of my coaching career, and this isn't about me. This is about our team tonight. We played a good football team. We didn't win. I'm disappointed. Our players are disappointed. I care more about what the hell they think, and that we got to take care of those guys. But there's a reason why we came to Auburn, and so just do a little research and see the history of the things that I've been able to do and been a part of, and there's a reason why we're here. Auburn's a great place. Love it. Love the community here. I love where we're going with this program. Disappointed as hell. Those guys in that locker room know where I stand, and everybody in this program and this coaching staff knows where I stand. I love it here. I love the orange and blue, and we got a lot of more work to do.
Quick look ahead, though, to the SEC championship game. Georgia, they've allowed 8 offensive touchdowns this season.
Well, to put that in perspective, we just talked about Alabama's rushing defense. They've allowed 8 rushing. Georgia's allowed 8 overall. I think, Jim, and somebody pointed this out earlier, and I was talking about this over the weekend. I brought it up on the Zone last night on 3340. You are inclined to say that the way you beat Georgia is to finally have an elite offense against that defense. And obviously that would help.
Yeah, if beat them over the top.
Beat them over there. If Alabama's offense is still elite, I don't know that it is, that would help. What nobody talks about is making their offense work for it too. If you look at the defenses Georgia has faced statistically, the best ones are Clemson, Alabama, UAB, and Kentucky. Now, you kind of throw UAB out, but Clemson is the one team that's been able to take Georgia to the wire.
Well, I don't know how much, and I'm not a big analytics guy, but there is an analytic called the expected points allowed.
Okay.
Or expected points added. And so ESPN did a piece on this today. Well, they say the top 3 defenses that they faced are Clemson, Florida, and South Carolina. 3 best offenses, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Kentucky. Against top offenses, Georgia's defensive EPA dropped 10 points from its average. And against the top defenses, the offense declined by nearly 14 points. So their point is here, they haven't really seen an elite defense or an elite offense.
Yeah, and I don't know that Alabama's got an elite offense anymore. They did for a minute. I don't know if they do. I mean, the LSU
I
game.
feel better that Alabama's defense, for all the Pete Golding
think I'm
haters
right.
out there, can keep Stetson Bennett and this
That's what I'm
offense
saying.
in check.
To me, that's your better path to victory here. Is
Brock Bowers is the X factor. I know we'll get more into this game as it.
Yeah, keep it a one play game as long as you can.
That's right. One possession game into
That's
the
right.
fourth quarter, have a chance to win it late. That is, it's on the defense to do that and the offense to keep up.
Well, here's the thing. If you've watched Georgia this year, and almost everyone listening or watching has, Kirby doesn't call off the dogs. And Kirby is going to put the pedal down. And if he has an opportunity against Nick Saban in Alabama
zero
to
doubt.
completely curb stomp, he will.
Yeah, this is a recruiting moment
Yes.
for Kirby Smart.
Yeah, and that's why I think talking to a lot of Alabama fans, they believe this game's going to get nasty. Again, I buy way into what Vegas thinks. And for the number to only be 6.5, it kind of shows me that this game will be a little closer than most expect.
Yeah, but
I don't know where you can put this number.
But Alabama fans are sitting here saying, are you saying only 6.5? I mean, Big Don, who's our friend here at the Blue Lake Center, I roll in this morning at 6 a.m. Big Don's already working. And he was, of course, had his Alabama shirt on and was a little flustered over the weekend. And we were talking about it. He rode up the elevator with me up here to the top floor. And he said, did point spread come out? And I said, yeah, Alabama's a 6.5 point. He was like, we're a 6.5 point underdog. So for a lot of Alabama fans out there, just being a 6.5 point underdog is new territory. It's been a long, long time. And you're saying it's only 6.5.
Well, it's only 6.5 for a lot of people that I've talked to. I mean, that doesn't seem like a big number when you consider Georgia's had one tight game and it was week one. And again, the circumstances of that game against Clemson are so different than they are now. So most people believe this number should be double digits. It's just hard to envision a team that hasn't been an underdog since 2009 SEC championship game, more than a decade, is now catching a touchdown.